What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of SportsMark coverage of the NBA Finals. I'm Aboud Abdallah. I'm here joined by Kuz and Jaquan. What's good, fellas? How you guys doing?
Chilling, living life, loving life.
Crispy.
Crispy, yeah. Kuz fresh off chilling
Ooh.
in the pool for 10 hours. My man looks like a lobster a little bit, but he's gonna get through it. I believe in him. Oh man, let's get into it though, guys. I'm gonna start with you, Jaquan. Jaquan, what did you think about Game One, man?
I called it. I said, listen, if KD doesn't play, Golden State honestly doesn't have enough to offset what Kawhi gives them and the attention that Kawhi gives them. Because if you notice,
Objection.
they attack.
Hold on. I got some. I gotta cut into this. I got some shit to say. I can't let you be fooling the fans right now, because in the chat, I believe we posted that Chauncey Billups said that Toronto's not even gonna win a game even without KD, and you were like, "Oh, he's got a point." So
No,
for you to come
you're
out
wrong.
and talk
Because Chauncey
about
Billups said it on national TV. Chauncey Billups definitely said that unless KD plays and KD has to play 4 games, then Toronto was going to win. Stop misconstruing words.
that's not what he said.
Stop it. That
He
is
said
100%
Toronto.
what he said.
He said Toronto will not win a game
No,
without.
he said Toronto. He said Golden State won't win a game without KD.
I don't know. Listen,
His exact words were if the Warriors are going to win this series, KD has to play at least 4 games. And I mean, if you look at how a series breaks down, you need 4 wins in order to win a series. Kind of the same thing, honestly. I feel like he's kind of saying without them, they have a hard shot at winning a game.
listen, man. KD, no KD, Suns in 5. All right.
All right. Hey, and that's Kuz with basketball talk. I appreciate it, Kuz.
But yeah, like I was saying, because of the fact that in years past, Golden State has had a relatively good bench. They've had one of the better benches over the last couple of years. This year, their bench is full of second round picks, D League guys, and they just don't have the same kind of talent coming off the bench, which has always been the difference maker for them. This year, Toronto has a very, very good bench. And they even made a switch to put Ibaka coming off the bench and start Siakam. So that means they have a veteran basically anchoring that bench unit, which bodes well for them going forward because when they go to the bench, they can go to a more fast-paced, spread-out offense, which is why I think Toronto won, because even with Kawhi having a bad game, they got a lot of contributions from different places in effective ways by running their offense. It wasn't like one guy went off because he's just nice. He went off in the flow of the offense, which is what they need to continue to do.
No, for sure. How about you, Kuz? What did you take away from the first game?
My guy Siakam was hooping last night. Like,
Whew.
first finals ever. I believe he's a rookie. Like, my man showed out. Like,
This is third year.
Is
This
it?
is
Hey,
third
man,
year.
I ain't never seen him before, but hey, he balled out.
No, for sure. I mean, definitely Siakam. Something crazy. Like before the series started, his odds of winning Finals MVP was like plus 8,000. I think right now, currently, he sits at plus 600. That's a dramatic change in just one game. And obviously, he set a standard of what to do going forward. But it's all about maintaining.
I
Should have
should
what?
have bet $10 on him being MVP.
Dude, you're telling me, man. That's what I'm saying. I think I said that to you last night. I was like, fuck, I should have looked up the odds before the game started and put like $100 down on Toronto or some shit.
But you know what's crazy is I think that this came from a large portion of it was that he just lost his father this year, so
Yeah.
he's playing emotional, which for me is good. To me, is good because he's playing for something bigger than basketball, which is you look at CP3 when he had the 60. I think he had the 61-point game in high school after his grandfather died, and you look at Jordan. Or whenever guys play emotional, they play better.
Listen, we're not even gonna bring
You
up
look
Jordan. We're not even gonna bring up Jordan because I got some foul shit to say, and we're not gonna say this on this. We're talking about the finals right now. So
No, but it's true though, because honestly, even if you look back on like IT when he was in Boston, lost
I
his
was about
sister
to
in
say
that
that.
tragic accident, dude came
Uh-huh.
out and basically carried the entire organization for as far as they went that year. So it's true. I think when something emotional and especially something that deep happens in your life, it kind of raises your game to a new level. It's almost like you're playing out of body. It's like you can't explain what's going on. You're kind of just going with it. But yeah, man, I mean, let's get right into it. So looking at the stats for the Golden State Warriors, Draymond Green did have a triple double, but my man almost had a quadruple double. If you look at his turnovers, only shot 2 for 9. Uh, Steph Curry. I mean, this is one of the keys. I think we discussed it before the game started yesterday. What you have to do is that you have to make Steph uncomfortable and pray that Clay just because he's been spotty all year. He hasn't been very consistent. At times he hits a
Uh-huh.
slump, and you just gotta hope that this is one of those games where if you contain Steph, Clay is just gonna hopefully disappear. And he didn't disappear; still put up 21, but 8 of 17 shooting. Steph went 8 of 18, still put up 34, which is kind of crazy. He went perfect at the foul line, but it's like you said, Jaquan, man. You know their biggest contribution off the bench, Kevin Looney gave them 9 points. If Kevin Looney is going to be your biggest contributor off the bench, it's going to be a
You're gonna
long game
lose.
for you guys.
You're gonna lose. And then you just look at how they got their points, and how Golden State was playing. The thing I think that they really did well with is they made Steph work on the defensive end. No matter who switched onto Steph, they made those guys work. Because if you switch him on to Van Fleek, he's still running, and Clay has to guard Kyle Lowry at this point, so he's not guarding,
who
Kawhi
came
Leonard.
who came out the gates fucking god awful terrible, might I say.
He always does this though.
He's
Like this is what you expect from him. But then again, you got your contribution from Van Fleet, who gave you what 15.
15 off the
So
bench. Yep.
it offsets like you still get 15 points from that position. And when only real production you're getting from the point guard position out of Golden State is Steph, that's doing well. Because Steph shot what 8 of 18.
Mm-hmm.
He played like trash, and Steph doesn't play defense, so Van Fleet is going to continue to get these shots as long as he continues to knock it down, and I think he will, because I mean, dude is from Toronto, so again, he's playing for something bigger than himself.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there was a point made last night, the entire United States, as far as NBA is concerned, is essentially divided because, of course, every state has their own team. Everybody, their own region has somebody that they support or their own fan base. Canada has one team, honestly, and it kind of feels like last night they showed up for them. Like that stadium was out of control. They were looking for any reason to explode, and thank God things worked out the way they did. And it could have ended pretty bad for the city if they got blown out game one. But Toronto came out, handled their business. Let's look at their stats. Kawhi obviously didn't have the best shooting game, but like we said, got to the free throw line, 10 of 12 from the line, ended up finishing with 23, 8, and 5. Siakam went 14 for 17, 2 for 3 from threes. Very complete game, 8 boards, 5 assists, and like Koo said, Kyle started off very slow that game. But the thing is that as the game went on, when he realized he couldn't be a contributing factor offensively, he started doing other things. He started facilitating, ended up finishing with 9 assists. He was rebounding. He was down low. He was looking for any reason to contribute, and that's what I want to see in my veteran point guard. If things aren't clicking for you offensively, look for whatever ways that you can be effective. Try and keep the ball in the hot hand. If you know that's not you, it's okay. There's no shame in not being the guy for one night. Whatever helps you get to that ring, that's what you got to do, man.
And also, the biggest thing I think that I can take away from this game is that Kyle Lowry, and I didn't even know this, he led the league in charges taken for a 6-foot point guard. That's incredible. And he did it again. I think he took 2 or 3 charges last night, which were 2 and 3 big fouls that got Draymond out the game, which was big for them because if they don't have Draymond, that means Steph has to facilitate. And if Steph has to facilitate, their offense is going to stall because Steph's better when he's running off screens. And they don't have any other post passers that they can really facilitate through.
No,
so again,
exactly.
That's my issue with Golden State is that if they don't have everybody, they're limited in the offense that they can run.
No, definitely. Kuz, you got anything to add about the Raptors?
No, man, you guys hit it right on. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, man. I mean, just looking at it now, like you said, they got contributions from Van Fleet, 15 points off the bench. Even Marc Gasol last night made an appearance like he was Marc Gasol in his prime. Dude's hitting threes, banging down low, doing whatever he needs to. Um, but honestly, realistically, and it's crazy now. Now Siakam, Spicy P, as everybody's calling him, like we said, favorited to win Finals MVP. Do you think it's just hype off of one game, or do you think that he's establishing himself, so to say? Because I personally think it's still Kawhi's team, and it's his Finals MVP to lose if they win the championship.
I think with the way that they're going to attack Toronto, Siakam has a shot to win, but it just depends on if he continues to play his game and doesn't try and do too much. Because Siakam is very much built for inside and out. Like he's a new age four. He's not a three like a lot of fours are. So he can bang, and he has a lot of down low moves as you saw last night. If he can continue to just stay at the cup and let the threes and jump shots come where they may, then yes, he's gonna have 20 to 30 points every night because Golden State doesn't know how to stop him. And if they, God forbid, if Kyle Lowry gets hot, the series is over in four.
Mm.
Unless Kevin Durant comes back.
That's
Because
kind
Kevin
of,
Durant is very much that guy that can lock Kawhi down. If you lock Kawhi down, then that means you can sit Clay on Siakam, and then the matchups start to become more favorable for Golden State. Because if that's the case, then at that point you don't have to ask DeMarcus to do too much. So when Marcus All comes in, then you can have Jordan Bell and DeMarcus Cousins switch off of that. So Kevin Durant changes that team, and Kevin Durant right now is doubtful, but could still happen for game 3 and 4. I know he's out for game 2 at the moment.
Mm.
I'm gonna
So
be with you. I don't think he's coming back to at least game 6 because every series, like every game since he got hurt, it's like, oh, he's out for like the next game, and like only the day of it, oh, he's out for this game. Like I think he's out for a while. They're just trying to keep it like on the wraps to make them think that he's coming back.
I think that that injury was a lot worse than they're giving it credit for.
For sure.
It's not an Achilles. I don't think it's a tear. Like it's not something that he can't get over for next season, but I don't think that he's going to be able to come back. Either that or this is just a way for him to show his value and to up his value for the summer. Not like he really needs it,
Mm.
but it's doing a lot for his value going into free agency. I can tell you that.
No, it's a fact. I think when the injury first occurred in the Houston series, they tried to diagnose it as a calf strain, and just anybody who saw how he landed and anybody who saw how he was walking afterwards, you could tell it was something a lot more severe than just a calf strain. It was something.
Uh-huh.
If it was just something as simple as a calf strain, he would not have missed as much time as he did the Western Conference. He definitely would not have missed the first game of the finals.
I
Yeah,
initially
Kuz, what were
thought
you saying?
he tore his Achilles. Like I
Mm.
thought
Yeah,
it was an actual Achilles tear.
yeah. The way he landed, it looked very much like it could have been. It might be a partial tear, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think
My
Might be
thing
something,
is, I think this is going to be one of those things that if he does come back and play, I wouldn't be surprised if after the season was over, information is leaked he was actually playing with a much more severe injury than he thought, but he thought that this would jeopardize his chance at three-peating, and so he wanted to come back and at least be a contributing factor. I wouldn't be surprised because we see that all the time. Any year that a team has lost in the finals, you see a report comes out. Steph Curry played with knee problems that were a lot more serious than he led on to believe, or whoever the case was. Um, and like you said, he does have to think about this upcoming summer and free agency with all the speculation of him going to New York and everything, and or wherever he may land. I don't think he wants to fuck that bag up by trying to rush everything. And I'm sure he
Uh-huh.
thought that his team was more than capable of taking game one. And that's another thing too. Like we discussed, Boogie Cousins coming back and how big of a factor he was going to be. I think he only played like 8 minutes last night.
he played more than I think he played like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
For the Warrior, no, they have him at 8 minutes. He finished with 3 points and 2 assists. But
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, man, I wouldn't be surprised if Boogie coming back was intended to be a decoy or something that maybe the Raptors are going to go and game plan. And then when they see that he's not being utilized as much as he is, it's like, well, we just game planned for this guy to be such a big factor. And now dude is barely playing. But even when they announced yesterday that he was active, I really didn't think that they intended to use him like a starter.
See, the issue with Boogie being on Golden State, and this was always my issue with Boogie being on Golden State, is Boogie's only effective when he's a focal point. Like that's why he was so good with Anthony Davis, because they could just switch off being, the guy. In a Golden State type of situation, he may give you 8 to 12 right now. Plus, I don't think he's fully, not saying that he's not healthy, but he's not, in terms of his conditioning, he's not in game shape. And he has to play himself into game shape. So it's one of those situations where I don't think, if he would have came back last round, then he would be definitely a factor. I don't think he's a factor regardless to how many games he plays or how many minutes he plays. I just don't think he's a factor because he's a spotty shooter at best, at absolute best. And seems like he's gotten leaner, but he hasn't gotten stronger. So his post game is going to be suspect. The only thing that's really a factor is his rebounding and his putbacks. And if you put Marc Gasol on him, Marc Gasol essentially neutralizes that. So I don't think Boogie's a name, but he's not really a factor. The factor to me is if Draymond can consistently hit shots. Because if Draymond were hitting half the shots that he was left open, then it would have been a game. And that's usually how Golden State goes. When they didn't have KD, it was Draymond who magically had these games where he would just turn into the guy. And it was like, Draymond's a top 15 power forward. He's a top 5 big, and everybody wants a Draymond Green. That's horseshit. He's very much a second round talent who's playing above his talent level because of the system. And unless he starts to knock down shots, he won't be effective. Essentially, it's like, remember when Tony Allen was on Boston and Boston would blow teams out when Tony Allen had 15 points?
Exactly.
And he was knocking down shots?
Yeah.
That's essentially, it's the same effect because now you can't game plan for him and now he's going to kill you. With Draymond, if you notice, he was taking 3-pointers and it was nobody within the remote vicinity. If your man caught it above top of the key, nobody was guarding him. Once he stepped in, they knew he was passing it anyway. So nobody's going to guard him. It's like, all right, if Draymond's going to give us 30, that's fine. Let Draymond give us 30. Nobody cares about Draymond giving you 30. Because if he's giving you 30, then he's not going to give you 30, 10, and 12. He's going to give you 30, 5, and 4, or 33 and maybe 7. Like everything that makes him effective is going to go away if he's scoring on you.
No, definitely. I think that if you're gonna let anybody on the Warriors kill you, I think you're completely fine with letting it be Draymond. If Draymond is gonna be their 30-point scorer of the night, you know that you have effectively stopped Steph, Clay, and if KD's on the court. That's if they're all three playing. Kuz, I think you were saying something, but your mic was muted.
Yeah, what I was trying to say is like maybe Draymond's for sure top 5 defensive forward in the game. But definitely not like a top 15 overall forward in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
people try to hype it like,
man's defense is elite for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And
for someone who's 6'7", who's like 235, that can do what he does is incredible. But it's essentially a non-factor on a team that, you're playing against the guys who are a bunch of defenders. Yeah. So it's like, all right, you're one defender on a team that can't defend versus the team that's nothing but defenders.
No, that's a fact. Honestly, looking at Draymond Green, I equate him almost to the equivalent of what like a Patrick Beverley is for his position. Undersized, but dude is scrappy. He's a fucking dog. He's going to get after you. He's going to be up in your shit all game. He's going to aggravate you. I mean, we saw in a down game, he still pulled off a triple-double. Doesn't necessarily speak to his offensive game because we've seen him get triple-doubles without even scoring double digits in points, but dude is a workhorse. But speaking similarly to Siakam, the one thing that I really appreciated about him was that early on in the game, they were giving him that Draymond treatment. where they were completely abandoning him from the 3-point line up until about like the elbow or up until the free throw line. And he took notice of that early and he started shooting. That's something that,
Made him pay
a
for it.
young player, yeah, absolutely. A young player in that position, sometimes you're so afraid of making the wrong play that you just don't even want the ball in your hands. He completely embraced it, and that showed serious balls to me. Like, that's something that you want, knowing, like, I'm going into battle with these young players, and at least I know he has the nuts to put the ball up.
And I think that has a lot to do with Nick Nurse, and that has a lot to do with this team, because if anybody who's paid attention to Toronto all year, that's why it wasn't new to me, because he's done this several times this year where they've destroyed teams and Kawhi was quiet. Kawhi was out there with 11 points. Siakam's out here. I think he had a 41-point game one night. This is his second 30-point game in the playoffs. Siakam does this. This is what he does. You leave him open, he's gonna hurt you. He's gonna kill you. And because he's coached so well, and that's why I give that coaching staff and even the front office to a degree, you got to tip your hat to them, because they have a Spurs like effect on their young players and on their undrafted players, because Siakam is a guy that you don't game plan for him, but when the moment happened and you needed him there, he was there. He was basically their Robert Horry.
Exactly.
And that's what you need. That's what I mean by you need those guys, those intangible guys, like those other guys that we don't talk about that often, to know their role, and when the moment comes, they handle their business. And that's why I think if Toronto doesn't win, they can definitely push a game 7. But I do strongly believe that Toronto's going to win in 6 unless KD comes back. Because I feel like the KD caveat is huge, because he changes that team so much. And he's such a force where someone as good as Kawhi can't even guard him alone. It's going to take Kawhi, Siakam, and all of their scrappy players to really keep KD at a 20-25 clip. But the problem with that is KD forces so much attention, then you got Steph and Klay that can go up for 40 on you. So that to me is what really makes that team difficult. But with Klay and Steph, because neither guy can really create, like as much as we say Steph can create from like half court to the 3-point line. Once he gets inside, he can hit you with a bunch of up and unders, and he can hit you with a bunch of floaters, but he's not Dame, and he's not Kemba Walker in terms of creating for himself.
He's not creating that he's just taking what they're giving him. So you're not really creating that. You didn't create that shot. They were just open.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I really wouldn't be surprised if KD doesn't come back, and after the series, it comes out as like, oh, well, KD really had a torn Achilles. So, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, definitely. I mean, the one consistent thing about Stephen Curry is that he creates through his off-ball movement. Probably one of the best movers off the ball that the game has ever seen. He will literally run routes on a defender to try and get open, and the Warriors just have become so used to his movements that now they know how to strategically plan a pick on the opposite side of the court, but they know because of how Steph runs, he's going to run that defender right into him. And that's how I think the first 9 points that he had were all off threes that he moved off the ball to get those shots open. And it just goes to show you it's deadly. All right, so now I'm going to put you guys in the hot seat a little bit. After what we've seen game one,
listen, don't make my seat so hot, man. I'm already still burning.
Oh, no. Yeah, my bad, Kuz. I wasn't a shot at you, bro. I promise.
All right, man.
Yeah. So after everything we've seen from game one and after everything that we know so far, as it stands, Kevin Durant, they said that he's probably not going to be back until the halfway point of the finals. Given what we know as of today and after seeing game one, Jaquan, what do you think? I mean, I know you said it earlier, but definitively, what do you think the series goes down to?
Raptors in 6.
Raptors in 6? All right, Kuz, same question.
I mean, ultimately, like I've said it against, like, for every team playing against Golden State, like, you have to stick to your game or don't try to beat them at their game, because that's how they beat you. They already know me, man. Suns in 6, bro. Honestly.
Fucking guy. That Suns in 6. That's your that's the answer.
That's what I'm going with.
All right. Oh man, anything else you guys want to add in before we get out of here?
Just I think Toronto's playing for a lot, and I think that the effect that people don't understand is that Toronto is kind of in a division with three other quote unquote big market teams, and they've always been, even though they've been talented, they've been more successful really in their lifetime versus other teams. They've always been overlooked. So I think this is Canada basically like standing up saying like, listen, we're a big market. You can come here, you can win, and you will be a god.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a well-run program, it's a well-run organization. It has the fan base, it has the endorsements, it has everything. It's just Kawhi's not the type, and they don't have the type of guys that could really be charismatic on that team. But I think this to me is just a statement by Canada saying like we're players, like we're really we're players in this basketball market. And I think it's a good thing because now you have Boston, Brooklyn, New York, and Toronto all and Philly all in one division.
Mm-hmm.
And all of those teams to me are big market teams. So even though, we didn't think Toronto was going to get Marc Gasol, we didn't think Toronto was going to get Serge Ibaka, we didn't think Toronto was going to get Kawhi Leonard, and they got all those guys. I think it's about time we stop sleeping on Toronto and what they're capable of doing and how they can pay guys and what kind of market that Toronto market really is. And I think we need to really pay attention to it because, we keep talking about, Kawhi's going to leave, Kawhi's going to leave, Kawhi's going to leave. I don't see unless Kawhi just hates Canada or he's not a big fan of the city, there's no real reason for him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has a better chance of winning there long term than he does with the Clippers. He is going to have a better money situation there.
He wants to come to the Heat, bro. It's cool. Let him come.
Nah, I think he'll come to LA. The Heat have their own problems. The Heat need to
bro,
do a lot.
Relax.
In terms of cap space, come on, let's keep it a buck.
Hey man, we got one more year, then Whiteside's off the books. That's all we need. We just gotta get through this.
Whiteside and Dragic is out. We'll do a sign and trade. We'll trade him, Dragic.
Yeah, I heard Dragic might be in the cards for a possible Chris Paul deal. That's a rumor. That's a rumor I've heard.
I'd rather keep Dragic, honestly. I'm not trying to pay a 35-year-old player $44 million.
Listen, that's on y'all. I'm just hoping the Knicks aren't desperate enough to do that either. But I mean, back to what I was saying in terms of Toronto, they're a big market. They're big players, and they're really, really well run. I think that they are truthfully the Spurs of the North, and because they've just done everything the right way. Even though I regret that DeMar DeRozan isn't a part of that run, you look at their history. They've had what?
DeMar DeRozan, honestly, he's overrated.
Oh man!
But again, he's still a pivotal part in their history. He's still a very, very instrumental part in making Toronto the mega market that it's basically become. Because think about it, you have Vince Carter. He made them relevant after Vince Carter. Like they needed someone after Vince, and he's put them in this situation where now a guy like Drake can be the global ambassador. And now they are in the finals because he was the piece that got them Kawhi. So, I mean, I just feel like Toronto needs to get a lot more love. Like we really have been sleeping on Toronto, and I think it's about time that we stop. And this is proving it.
It's not that people have been sleeping on Toronto. It's the fact that every year before this, Toronto has done nothing but choke in the biggest moments of the playoffs. So like it's kind of hard to not sleep on a team like that. They're consistently year after year they make it to Eastern Conference Finals, and they just fucking
ran into LeBron.
They just dropped the ball.
I was gonna say it's kind of hard because every other team, it doesn't matter where you finish 1 through 8. At some point, you ran into Lord LeBron of the East, and he got past you, whether Kyrie or Kevin Love was there, whether Dylan Nadova was there, whether Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson were there. The dude owned the East.
We could go back to Ilgauskas, whether Ilgauskas was there and Mo Williams
main point.
And Delonte West was there.
Carlos Boozer, players like that.
Delonte West. We went way back, huh?
Played with them.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
So, I mean, I can't sit up there and talk about teams choking because when it comes to playing against LeBron, if he's in the playoffs, I can't sit up there and look at that's like to me looking at Portland keeps choking. And I'm like, are they choking though? Look at like this is the first year where like their guys are really taking a step forward, and they ran into Golden State.
And they didn't have Nurkic, which I think,
And
like
they didn't have Nurkic.
Like you said when we started this podcast, they don't really have a low post presence. They don't have like a certified or a solidified big man. I think Nurkic definitely
who's a
would have made
two-way big man.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's the key. That's a two because Cantor can be as good, and that's the thing I hate that people always try to bring up with Cantor, especially this year. Cantor is a one-dimensional player. Stop acting like he's the next Hakeem Olajuwon. That's crap. Stop it.
Listen, main point here is like one of my favorite coaches ever, Tony the Coach, says, in order to beat the other team, you gotta score more points. Very simple. Shout out Tony the Coach.
Yeah, I hope he's enjoying retirement.
Listen, man. Defense wins championships. That's all I can say. That's the New York mentality. We may not be the shooters out here in New York, but we'll drive it up the middle. This is gonna sound real gay. Pause. We can drive it, we can finish it, and they play D. So like, we may not be able to compete with you in the gym, but if you come out on the concrete in the snow, we gonna bust your ass.
I'll let that one pass. All right, guys. Anything else you guys want to add before we get on out of here?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I heard the Knicks are gonna trade the number three pick for like a bag of Skittles.
No, it was supposed to be for like the 8 and 9 pick, which I really hope 8 and 10, which I really hope you guys don't do that. Just take RJ and just be happy, man.
You don't understand how much I want that to be real. Like,
yeah.
I just want them to take RJ and run with it and just, we have enough cap space. We may not have enough cap space for 2 full guys, but we have enough cap space to get 1 max guy and a bunch of really good players. Mm. So unless, it's KD and KD's like, I want Kyrie, then I'm not as focused on Kyrie as everyone else is, because I feel like as much as everybody wants Kyrie, and I get it, I understand it, it makes sense. But wasn't they just excited about Dennis Smith Jr. last year? Mm. And then they were excited for somebody else the year before. And then we went and it's a cycle. It's like, why don't we just do something different and actually develop a guy? Mm-hmm. And you get a guy like Kevin Durant, it opens it up for the young guys to really develop. So, I mean, go and get KD. Then you can go and get a guy like Tobias. You can go, well, Jimmy wants Max, so I'm not even going after Jimmy. Mm-hmm. But, like, you can go out there. You can get a guy like Nurkic to put next to Mitchell Robinson that can worry about the scoring and who's a really good passer and a decent shooter.
Wait, what team we talking about? We still talking about the Knicks?
Yes.
Sometimes I forget they're even still in the NBA, honestly.
Listen, bro. I love how Miami fans like to talk when, like, their highlight was from a guy that came from Cleveland.
First of all, we acknowledge 06 before we ever acknowledge LeBron's titles.
We unlike all the other teams, we won before LeBron and we won with LeBron. Okay, we didn't need LeBron to get our first.
Damn sure not winning after him though.
Okay, but he needed us to repeat.
Hold on. First of all,
he needed D-Wade. He didn't need y'all. He needed D-Wade.
Like I said, he needed us to repeat.
And D-Wade is the Heat, so he needed us.
I mean,
Look, see, I just wanted to talk about the finals. Y'all got me riled up right now. Let's get out of here. Yo, Jaquan Kuz, I appreciate you guys for joining us. Always good to talk to you guys. Definitely. Guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned. We're going to do more coverage after game 2. I'm not sure who's going to be back with us, but we definitely will have something up. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, and share with everybody. Still working, still building. It's the mission statement of sports. All right, guys. Peace out.